The moment the waitress walked into the little family restaurant carrying a crying baby, Daniel almost stood up and walked away. He had expected a simple blind date. A quiet dinner. Maybe a chance to start over after years of raising his 6-year-old son alone. But the waitress stopped beside his table, looked at him with tired eyes, and whispered, "I'm so sorry. I brought my baby." Daniel stared at her. Then his phone rang. The caller's name made the waitress suddenly turn pale. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Daniel had no idea that the strange phone call, the baby, and one small envelope hidden inside the woman's bag were connected to a secret that would change both their lives. If you enjoy emotional and mysterious stories like this, please subscribe to Kindness Story, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Daniel had been a single dad for almost 7 years. His wife had passed away shortly after their son, Noah, was born, and since then, Daniel had built his whole life around his little boy. Noah was the reason Daniel woke up every morning. He worked long hours, packed school lunches, helped with homework, and never complained about being tired. But lately, Noah had started asking questions. "Dad, why don't you have someone to talk to?" Daniel smiled whenever he heard it. "I have you." Noah shook his head seriously. "You need an adult." That was how Daniel finally agreed to a blind date. His sister had arranged it with a woman named Emily. She said Emily was kind, hardworking, and had a good heart. Daniel arrived early at the restaurant. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. He checked his phone. No message. Just when he thought she had changed her mind, the front door opened. A young woman rushed inside carrying a tiny baby wrapped in a yellow blanket. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were red from exhaustion. She looked around the restaurant, saw Daniel, and slowly walked toward him. "Daniel?" "Yes." She swallowed. "I'm Emily." Daniel looked at the baby. Emily immediately lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry. I know this is probably not what you expected." The baby began crying. Daniel noticed something strange. Emily didn't look embarrassed because she had brought her baby. She looked frightened. Before Daniel could ask anything, his phone rang. It was his sister. "Daniel," she said quickly, "please don't leave. There's something you need to know about Emily." The call suddenly ended. Daniel frowned. Emily had heard only one sentence. What did she say? Daniel looked at her. "I'm not sure." Emily's hands tightened around the baby's blanket. Then she whispered, "Maybe you should leave." That sentence made Daniel even more suspicious. "Why?" Emily shook her head. "Because I don't want your son getting involved in my problems." Daniel leaned forward. "What problems?" She said nothing. The baby finally stopped crying. For the next few minutes, they sat in uncomfortable silence. Then Emily's phone vibrated. She looked at the screen and immediately turned it face down. Daniel noticed. "Everything okay?" "Yes." But her voice trembled. A few minutes later, she received another call. This time, she stood up and walked outside. Daniel watched through the window. Emily answered. "I told you I need more time." There was a pause. "No. I'm not giving her away. Daniel's heart sank. Her baby? Who was she talking about? And what did she mean by giving her away? When Emily came back, Daniel was staring at her. Who was that? Nobody. That didn't sound like nobody. Emily looked toward the baby. I'm just trying to protect her. Daniel felt something was seriously wrong. He had spent years protecting Noah. He knew the look of someone carrying fear behind a calm face. Emily, he said gently, you don't have to tell me everything. But if someone is threatening you, I can help. Her eyes filled with tears. I knew this was a mistake. She stood up. Daniel reached for his wallet. Wait. Emily froze. You don't have to run. She looked at him. Why are you being kind to me? Daniel smiled sadly. Because I know what it feels like when the whole world expects you to handle everything alone. Emily sat back down. Then she slowly opened her purse. Inside was a small envelope. She placed it on the table. Daniel looked at it. What is that? My sister's. Daniel waited. Emily took a deep breath. My sister died 3 months ago. Daniel's expression changed. The baby belongs to her. He looked at the little girl sleeping peacefully. Emily continued. My sister asked me to take care of her if anything happened. But after she died, her husband's family tried to take the baby. They have money. Lawyers. Everything. Daniel finally understood why Emily was afraid. I'm not her mother, Emily whispered. I'm her aunt. But I promised my sister I would keep her safe. Daniel looked at the envelope. What's inside? A letter. Emily opened it with shaking hands. It was written by her sister before she died. She had named Emily as the person she trusted most to raise her daughter. But there was another document inside. Daniel read it carefully. Then he looked at Emily. You've been fighting this alone? She nodded. I work at this restaurant. I bring the baby because I can't afford childcare. I was supposed to meet you tonight because my sister wanted me to find someone who could help me with the legal process. Daniel blinked. My sister told me this was a blind date. Emily gave a weak smile. Mine too. Daniel suddenly remembered his sister's strange phone call. He called her back. You knew? His sister sighed. I knew Emily needed someone trustworthy. I didn't know all the details. I thought you two might understand each other. Daniel looked at Emily. Then at the baby. Then he did something Emily never expected. He stood up and picked up the baby's diaper bag. Come on. Emily stared at him. Where? First, we're getting you something to eat. She shook her head. I can't afford. I didn't ask you to pay. He smiled. And tomorrow, I'm calling my lawyer. Emily's eyes widened. You don't have to do that. I know. Why would you? Daniel looked at Noah's picture on his phone. Because someone once helped me when I thought I had to raise my son alone. I never forgot it. Emily began crying. The next morning, Daniel kept his promise. He connected Emily with a family lawyer who agreed to help her understand her options. He also helped her find a local childcare program and a support group for relatives raising children. But Daniel never tried to become a hero. He simply showed up. Weeks passed. Emily won temporary guardianship of the baby. And something unexpected happened. Noah loved visiting Emily and the little girl. One afternoon, Noah looked at Daniel and whispered, "Dad?" "Yes?" "Are they family now?" Daniel smiled. "I think family is more than blood." Noah nodded. "Then yes." Emily heard him. She smiled through tears. Months later, Daniel and Emily returned to the same restaurant where they had first met. The same table. The same window. But this time, there was no fear. The baby was sleeping peacefully. Emily looked at Daniel. "Do you remember when I said, 'I'm sorry, I brought my baby'?" Daniel laughed. "I remember. I thought you were going to leave." "I almost did." Emily smiled. "Why didn't you?" Daniel looked at her. "Because sometimes the person who walks into your life carrying a problem isn't there to bring trouble." He looked at the baby. "Sometimes they're there to remind you what kindness really means." Emily reached across the table and gently held his hand. Daniel had gone on that blind date hoping to meet someone. Instead, he found a family. And Emily had walked into that restaurant expecting rejection. Instead, she found someone who saw her fear before judging her circumstances. The biggest secret was never about a dangerous man, a hidden affair, or a scandal. It was simply that a frightened woman had been carrying someone else's child, someone else's promise, and a burden far too heavy for one person. Daniel didn't save Emily because he was extraordinary. He helped because he understood that kindness often begins with one simple choice: to stay when walking away would be easier. Sometimes, the person sitting across from you is not asking for love. They are simply hoping someone will believe them. And sometimes, the most beautiful families are not the ones we planned for. They are the ones we choose to protect.